guys, I'm Aussie and welcome to episode 4 of the Liverpool versus Manchester City Through the Leagues experiment, and today we are in League 1 with both of them. Now it's August 6th, the transfer window has closed. You can see there has been a couple of games in the league so far, they've both won. The one thing I find a little bit interesting about this is I think for the first time we're up against a club here with Sheffield Wednesday that's approaching sort of the same size of club. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday don't have the financial sort of history, I guess, that Liverpool and Man City have, or the foundation that they had, of course, coming out of the Premier League straight into the Vanarama North. But certainly, as I said, it's the size of a club that Sheffield Wednesday would be approaching. I think both Liverpool and Manchester City, maybe not globally, but certainly inside of England. Now let's go and have a look at what the transfer window has done to both of these clubs. First of all, the financial standings, they're rich again. That would suggest there's maybe been some player sales or some investment from the owners, because they were down to secure last year, weren't they? Now, do we have a Champions League group stage draw for them? For the first time, it's the first time in history someone's been in the Checker Trade Trophy as well as the Champions League group stage. That's surely not happened before. So there's nothing that's really happened on that front for them yet. Let's have a look at transfer history. And now they just signed Jordan Jones, didn't they, last year or the season before? Okay, so Pereira's left for Norwich for 22 million. Herrera has left for Liverpool. Now, again, Liverpool love to sign the Manchester City youngsters, don't they? Gabriel Jesus has left for PSG. Now that could be significant because Aguero is not going to be getting any younger at 2021 now. Can you imagine Jesus in those leagues? Anyway. Now they've signed Sang-Hon Min. So that's a big signing for them. They've signed Chalobah. Well, they've splashed the cash on signings. They've actually broken even. You can see that they've sold 96 million worth of players. They've signed 84. It's behind my head, I know, but 84 million they've signed worth of players. Anybody else there we recognise? Denis Suarez. Now he was a former City player, wasn't he? And then he went off to, I want to say, Barcelona. Yeah. So they've got him back on a free. So that's a good signing for them, I would imagine. But Song and Chalobah. Chalobah's not. Is he worth 50 million potentially? I don't think so. Does Son replace Jesus? So I'm going to say no, and I don't think that's a controversial statement. Maybe some hardcore Tottenham fans would disagree, but I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. All right, Liverpool. They are still rich as well. Now, they were rich when we left off, so that's not necessarily surprising. Now, they don't have European football. They are playing Blackburn in the Carabao Cup first round. Obviously, we haven't reached that point just quite yet. But let's have a look at transfers for them. Now, a much, much quieter transfer window for Liverpool. They sold Bakuna. I was surprised they signed him, so I'm not surprised they sold him. A couple of free transfers there. Wijnaldum's left. But nothing too significant. In is Jordan Williams, and he's a Welsh defender, I think, isn't he? Oh, maybe not. Maybe we got the wrong guy there. Anyway, and Herrera, as we know. So they've spent more than they've made, but that's a very quiet transfer window. 4.7 out, 17 million in, just the two signings. Liverpool still are going to have a team that is more than capable of challenging for league, or challenging Manchester City for getting promoted out of League One. But, yeah, I just wonder, the squad looks like it's a little bit bigger this year too, doesn't it, than it was previous years. Anyway, so what we'll do now is we will skip ahead to the end of the January transfer window, see how they're looking, see how Manchester City gets on in the Champions League, see how they got on in the Cups. Of course, the only way they can get back into Europe, of course, is if they were to win Cups. City, of course, could win a European Cup, but Liverpool have to do well in the domestic Cups. Yeah, and just see how these finances are looking halfway through the year once the sponsorship money and that starts to whittle down a little bit. So we'll come back at February 1st and see how things are looking. Okay, welcome back. We're into February 4th now. I came back a little bit later because they played each other in the league and City won at Anfield, but City had lost previously to Exeter. Now, Exeter are in the relegation zone, so I don't understand what happened there, but that means basically City obviously have game in hand because they are in the Champions League. So, God, can you imagine trying to play in the Football League and in Europe at the same time? How no wonder they have a backlog of fixtures. But that means that as things stand right now, they are, assuming City go and don't lose any other games, they're dead level on points. It's February 4th. Liverpool have already secured themselves a playoff spot, so there we go. That's interesting. Let's go and have a look at what has happened. Of course, we've had a transfer window as well. They are still considered rich. I'm beginning to come around to the thought that Liverpool may have sort of cut their cloth, and they might be in a better position here financially to come in a little bit quicker, maybe than Manchester City. All right, so FA Cup. They're still going in the FA Cup. Did I miss Carabao Cup? They lost the first round of the Carabao Cup, so they're out of that. So it's all about the FA Cup now. They had a replay with Ipswich, which they won. No, they weren't, obviously, because they got into the fourth round. And their next FA Cup round, they're at home to Sunderland. Now, Sunderland are a championship club. So, Liverpool still with a chance to get back into Europe for next season if they were to go and win the FA Cup, though you do wonder if that's a feasible thing now. They're beginning to look a little bit like they're not the top-class Premier League team, are they, anymore? Which is, as I said, you would expect that. Let's have a look at who they have sold here in January. They lost Tavernier to my boys, to Villa. That's actually quite a big loss for them, because Tavernier is quite a decent player, isn't he? Patrick Bamford has gone as well, and Ben Woodburn as well. So they've lost some players, but they have spent 33 million. They have gone and they have got in Matt Penny, I don't recognise that name, and Rob Holding has come in on deadline day from Arsenal. So they've gone big on a defender. What sort of wages are they paying Holding? 105 grand a week. So they can still splash the cash on wages, which is, I mean, they're a rich club, so it would make sense. But look at the size of this club. This is where I'm beginning to wonder, what's their youth look like? Let's have a look at the reports here and see if they have any good young players coming through. We can't do reports coming because we're not in charge of the club, so never mind that. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that this is a smallish squad now to play in the Football League. They're obviously going to get through and into the Championship, not a problem. But I do wonder when they get into the Championship, if the size of the squad, they're going to be coming up against better players, obviously, at that point. And I do wonder a little bit if that's going to start and slow them down a little bit. Now, Manchester City, are they still in Europe? We'll have to look at their finances first. Their finances, they're still rich. I'm really surprised at how well they've been able to sort of keep their finances in check. Okay, so let's go back to the top here. Carabao Cup, they've lost in the fourth round, so they're out of that. FA Cup, I think we saw they were still in that, and their fifth round tie is against Leeds, and they are still in the Champions League against Napoli. Now, that could actually be a problem for them. I mean, obviously you don't want to get knocked out of the Champions League, but I would think they're a better chance, like they did last year, of winning the Europa League. So perhaps it might have been a better long-term for them had they actually parachuted down out of the Champions League into the Europa League. But to be honest, with that group, that's a bit of a soft group, isn't it? They would have been really disappointed to go out in that group. But I just wonder, for the sake of getting back into the Champions League next year, if they've actually hurt themselves getting out of that group. But time will tell. Let's have a look at transfers. Who have they sold in January? They have sold no one major there, it looks like. They've actually got away with that okay. And have they signed anybody? They signed Diego Jota. Wow, they've splashed the cash. They spent £176 million. They've bought two big players from Wolves, Diego Jota and Johnny, a deadline day signing. And they've signed another guy from Groningen on much less money. Yes, so what we'll do now is we will come back for the end of the season. We will see if Manchester City we will see the finances. Who wins the league this year? This is fascinating because Liverpool have a better goal difference, albeit having played more games. So it could come down to goal difference. I mean, it depends though. If they both go, and it could come down to the game where they play each other. Now, when do they play each other? Let's have a look here, because it might be if they've played late. So if they play each other right towards the end of the year as well. So that's going to be a massive game. Anyway, we'll come right back and we'll see how this season plays out. Alright, we are now at the end of the season, and once again, Manchester City have won the league. Liverpool, who are once again runners-up. City beat Liverpool both times. City lost another game to Plymouth. Now, Plymouth were, a decent team, but, come on. But what's killed it for Liverpool, they had a better goal difference, a 1-1 draw with Wigan, with fourth place Wigan. Now, I wonder whereabouts in the league season that happened. Let's go and have a look. Now, FA Cup, of course, as well. They were still in that, weren't they? Did Liverpool manage to get back into Europe? And where was this 1-1 draw with Wigan? Let's go down here. So it was in March. It was after they... Oh, okay, wait a second here. So Liverpool knocked Manchester City out of the FA Cup, and then they drew and basically threw away their league chances. They lost in the semi-final of the FA Cup to Nottingham Forest. Then they lost in the league. So Liverpool, they are promoted, once again runners-up in the league, but they are not going into Europe, which is probably disappointing for them. Back in the Championship, though, now, have we had the final of the FA Cup yet? Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup final. That's a feel-good story, isn't it? Good to see them there. Championship club as well. But there we go. Now, finances for Liverpool at the end of the year are still rich. So that's a good thing. Was there anything else done by way of transfers? No, there was one out on loan, but that'll come back, so that's not a problem. So that's Liverpool done. In the Championship, kind of threw away the league, but not in Europe. Now, Manchester City, they continue their relentless run up the leagues, winning every league that they've been in so far. They are as well still rich. Still Guardiola is the manager, which is maybe surprising. Is just to digress back for a second, is Klopp still the manager he is still the manager at Liverpool as well. So credit to those guys sticking around. All right, the schedule. Now, they were still in the FA Cup, but we know they got knocked out of that. But how did they go in Europe? Are they going to be in Europe next year? Or for the first time this experiment, are they going to be knocked out of Europe altogether? They did get through, it looks like, against Napoli. Quarterfinal against Juventus. They lost on away goals, did they? They lost on away goals. An 80th minute Bernardeschi strike has knocked them out, and we know they were knocked out of the FA Cup. So, yes, indeed, for the first time this experiment, neither Manchester City or Liverpool will be in Europe next year. They will both be in the Championship, though. So they're so close. They're almost back. But I just wonder, and this is, I think now, this is really going to start to get interesting next year. They're going to be up against better clubs. Let's have a look who's in the Championship for next year, if we can, the league table. They're going to be up against some better clubs, although, to be honest, there's no real big hitters necessarily there, are there? Who's going to come down from the Premier League? Or hopefully not Villa. Hopefully Villa will stick it out there. Oh, it's so close. Anyway, that's not what this is about. You can see the top four. It's who you would expect it to be. But in the Championship next year, neither of them in Europe, which in a way is maybe a good thing because it'll allow them to concentrate on the league and getting back into the Premier League. But it's all about these finances, isn't it? How close are they to dropping off, without that extra income? I think Liverpool's done a good job. They've been without European football now for a while. They're still a rich club. What they don't necessarily have now is the assets to sell on. Mendy is kind of the last one there. Riyad Mahrez as well. Douglas Luiz. So there's still a few. They still have some assets to sell. Some of these guys are going to be getting on a little bit, aren't they? So not necessarily worth as they'll do well to get sort of more than what they're worth. I just wonder how Manchester City is going to go without European prize money. But they have a lot. Look at the players. They have a lot of assets they can sell for big money. So I think they'll be fine. It'd be interesting to see without European football too if they'll be able to attract the players. But anyway, that's going to be for next time, guys. We'll come back in the Championship. No European football. Will they be able to rise straight through the leagues, the two of them? I have a feeling there might just be a spanner in the works next year. I'm really curious to see how these finances work out without any sort of excess money coming in for Manchester City. But anyway, that's all for next time, guys. If you have enjoyed this, please do hit thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, if you're watching this and haven't subscribed yet, please do so and ring the bell to know when I upload new episodes. But until next time, I've been Aussie, and thank you so much for watching. Take care.